Hi everyone, how's it going? I hope you're having a good day. Another beautiful day and another day closer to getting our PI 2, 3, and 4 on the roads. And we know that Aptera is going to do this very soon. But there's a question that's come to mind, and I'm going to go ahead and ask it. And you know what? Let's do this. Let's just get into this first. All right, welcome back to my channel. It's good to have you here. Yes, thank you so much for joining Free Power. And yeah, there is a question that I wanted to ask, and that is why is Aptera the only company that's pursuing efficiency with solar panels? Nobody else is doing that. Nobody else is even trying to pursue efficiency. So let's get into this information where Chris Anthony is the one that's actually talking about this, why he believes Aptera is the only company pursuing that. And so let's go ahead and check this video out, and we will talk about it.
Interesting. And then why do you think that Aptera is really one of the only companies trying to do this? Because it just doesn't seem like something that, obviously there was the GM EV1, which was it was very aerodynamic, but it didn't go anywhere near the level that Aptera's vision extends to. But why do you think that no one really has been trying to do this?
Yeah, the EV1 was a great example of wide-eyed innocence when the EV world started, and then the corporate overlords came in and crushed it down, and now it's just a much different, beast. I think that it's terribly hard to change your supply chain in the automotive world. So to shift from steel and aluminum over to composites is the first big hurdle. The second is you've got a lot of engineers in these big companies, and they all want to keep their jobs. So if you've drastically simplified your vehicles and made them out of different materials, you put a lot of people out of work, and you're going to not a lot of people aren't going to get their bonuses because they're not re-engineering door systems and crazy lift gates and stuff that other vehicle programs consist of. I think there's a lot of headwinds in traditional automotive because they have a supply chain that's just not like ours, and they have it's kind of like software bloat. There's a whole bunch of engineers that just engineered all these different little software things, and they're all annoying and they all drive you crazy. And then, somebody comes out with something like Linux, and, it's like pure and simple. And you're like, but all those guys at Microsoft are going to lose their jobs because, there's all these little bloat programs. The same thing kind of happens in the automotive industry. There's all these little things that people work on and things that the suppliers want to get into the vehicles. It's kind of this never ending death spiral for them. And, hopefully we're the voice of change that hopefully inspires the transportation industry to do things differently, but time will tell.
So it's interesting that you bring up the transportation industry as a whole, right? Because actually, I think your design and your vehicle fits into the larger picture of electrifying everything and the shift in transportation, more particularly in cities, right? Where more people are maybe biking, e-bikes and e-mobility, e-city bikes almost are becoming more popular. Do you think there's a place for Aptera in the world transportation revolution in that sense, rather than what's happening, I think, more nichely in America, which is big trucks and big tires and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's right sizing transportation. And I think the younger generation you see is maybe embracing that a lot more than the older generation is. Car leasing is a lot more popular than car buying now. And I think people like the flexibility of, if I live in a big city, I don't need a car. I can take public transportation, I can use a bike, I can use a scooter. So getting rid of these terribly expensive devices that are also bad for the planet is something that we think is catching on. But it's right sizing the transportation. If you live in a city and you only need to go a mile a day, maybe a bike is perfect for you. Maybe hopping on the subway is perfect for you. Aptera really fits in that right sizing, in that if you have to commute 50 miles a day, what is the most efficient way for you to do that? It's not hopping in your SUV. So, if you could have something that's brutally efficient for the majority of your transportation, 67% of the mileage driven in California is driven with 2 passengers or less. So the vast majority of transportation could be handled by the Aptera. and it could be 20 times as efficient as a combustion vehicle driving on the same highway. So, we hope that people kind of, think a little harder about their transportation decisions and where they're spending their money. If they're going to buy a vehicle that's, $60,000 to $80,000, that's a hefty check. You got to pay for insurance to insure a $60,000 to $80,000 device. Wouldn't it be great if you get a $26,000 Aptera that has motorcycle insurance instead of automotive insurance, so it's even cheaper, and you're not paying for the fuel, so you're not dropping another $3,000 a year in gasoline. So, we think that people are thinking a lot more about their home purchases. People are thinking a lot more about their large appliance purchases, and people are certainly thinking a lot more about their transportation purchases.
So here, as Chris is bringing out, only Aptera is really doing something spectacular here where they are actually building the Aptera from the ground up. Efficiency is their specialty. But you know that the regular automotive companies, they don't want to change. They find it hard. If they're not going to make money out of it, they are not going to change. For instance, they brought out the EV1. Now, the EV1 was one of GM's babies, an all-electric car, and, they could have started all of this with their car that they came out with back in 2000. And when they came out with the vehicle, there was a lot of people that wanted it, and they actually leased it out to people to drive around. But then they started getting the car back. They started taking possession of the vehicles that they leased it to, and people actually wanted to buy the vehicle, but they didn't want them to have it. So eventually, as you can see that's brought out here, they actually destroyed their own vehicle. Why did they do that? It says right here, despite favorable customer reception, GM believed that electric cars occupied an unprofitable niche of the automobile market. The company ultimately crushed most of the cars, and in 2001, GM terminated the EV1 program, disregarding protests from customers. The people wanted these vehicles. They could have been on top of the world if they would have came out with this vehicle, but they didn't. And they really blew it in a big way. And then Tesla came along and showed just how much people really wanted a battery-powered vehicle. So that's what's so great about Aptera. Aptera started their vehicle from the ground up, working for efficiency. And so what they did was they redesigned the vehicle to where aerodynamics was at its least. They had the lowest drag coefficient of any vehicle on the road. They got rid of the steel and they started using composites, making it lightweight. They used just composite and aluminum. They also went from 4 wheels to 3 wheels so that they could have less road drag on the tires. And now that they're adding solar power, that even makes it even better, where you could just get energy or free power from the sun, just from the solar panels to the battery pack. And now they are really making big changes. But if these big companies, the United States, people here are partially to blame because they want to have big vehicles, big trucks, big SUVs. They want to feel nice and spacious, and if they feel like they can take over the road, they will do so. However, they are burning so much gas when they do that. It's such a waste. They're burning so much energy just to push air out of the way to get to their destination, and especially when they get on the highway. That's really just kind of sad. But he also brings out something else that's really interesting. They talk about Aptera being a niche, and it is. It's only a 2-seater. You have plenty of room in the back. So if you live in the city, of course, if you're going maybe 1 or 2 miles, getting an electric bike would probably be your best option. Or catching the train or the bus, that's probably going to be your best option. But if you have to take a lot of stuff with you for your job, if you do a lot of driving for your job, if you're traveling 50 miles a day, as he brought out, you're going to need something bigger than that. A bike's not going to cut it. you're going to need something that's really going to, be smart, economical for your travels. So with Aptera being that design, and of course we know they still have to come out and do all their testing with it, but as far as the computer simulations that they've done already, it shows that Aptera is going to be a winner once they get their vehicle on the road, because it's so aerodynamic and efficient. It's just going to save you so much money in the long run. And most people are probably going to stick with their big rides and, you know, the big trucks, the SUVs. But if you get an Aptera, you're going to save so much money, especially if you have an ICE car right now. You won't have to worry about spending all that money on gas, oil, transmission. You don't have to worry about getting tune-ups, oil changes, brakes redone. So there's a lot of things that you won't have to come out of your pocket for. Spark plugs, you won't have to change that. You won't have to change the timing belt. You won't have to change the alternator. There's so many things that you just save money on and having this vehicle. And, they're building this vehicle to last for generations. You buy it one time and then you could, hand it down to your son. He could hand it down to his son, who can hand it down to his son. So with composites, you don't have to worry about the vehicle rusting. I mean, this vehicle is going to be amazing game changer for the auto industry. And so what are your thoughts on it? What do you think? I know that the auto industry, they don't change unless they have to change. Like when Tesla came out, they were saying, "Oh, that vehicle's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to make it. It's going to do just like the GM EV1. It's going to go nowhere." But then when a lot of people started buying the Tesla, look at them. Now they are, trying to catch up with Tesla, and they can't, because Tesla is always evolving their vehicles. And Aptera is doing that too. Matter of fact, they're evolving their vehicles right now and it hasn't come out yet. So Aptera, their two-seater is just the beginning. They are coming out with more vehicles, four-seaters, vans. They are going to come out with a lot of vehicles where you will basically just be driving on solar power. And as the motors advance, the solar panels, the batteries, and you can see them advancing now. They are getting better and better every other year. They're getting better. So eventually it's going to get to the point to where Aptera has on their sign, "Driven by the sun," where all their vehicles are going to be driven by the sun. And then a lot of automakers are going to be trying to catch up to Aptera. So anyway, give me your thoughts on it. Let me hear what you got to say. I know that, some of you guys think that Aptera is not going to make it. And some of you know that it's going to make it. But I'm here to tell you, a lot of people thought Tesla wasn't going to make it. And look where they're sitting at now. They are on top of the auto world. And the Chinese are doing the same thing. They're coming out with a bunch of battery-powered vehicles. And what they want to do is they want to capitalize on the market. So then, once they do that, once they monopolize the auto industry, they can set their own price. Their prices are very cheap right now, but eventually they're going to set their own prices to where you have to pay whatever they want you to pay. And that's why I'm so hoping Aptera gets their vehicle out as soon as possible. Once they get it out, they're going to be growing exponentially in time. But anyway, we're going to end it right here. So you guys take care. You have a good one, and we will catch you in the next video. Patreons, oh man, you guys are awesome. Thank you very much. But if you're new here, hit the like, ring the bell, subscribe to catch all my videos when they come out. All right, we'll talk to you later. You guys have a good one. Bye-bye.